Well, SONiC is going through a pivotal moment, in the networking industry. Just like in early 90s, we had Linux and Windows come in as a common operating system running across multiple, hardware platforms, and application portability became much easier. Then we're seeing the same thing happen in the networking side as well, with SONiC becoming the Linux of networking. There's so much has happened in the SONiC in the last 7 years. SONiC originating from the hyperscaler ecosystem where it proved on agility, scalability, ease of automation, is now proving extremely successful in the enterprises as well. Right? Enterprises love the modular architecture, the ability to stream, APIs, telemetry real time, ability to scale this technology across disaggregated infrastructure is something that is extremely, flexible and easier for them to go about it. There's a lot has happened from community perspective with respect to feature additions that make SONiC adaptable for enterprise environments. We have been championing a lot of that effort with different community players in that category, and it's going through a phenomenal journey. The other thing that enterprises have loved in that category is now we have a lot of documentations, reference architectures, and case studies with customers talking about and users talking about how SONiC has been successful across different industry verticals, from higher ed to financial services, service providers, tier two cloud providers, and beyond. So it's a lot of wash, rinse, and repeat, and they're learning from hyperscalers and others who have adopted SONiC in their environment, taking those best practices and rolling it into their environments. AI has been a phenomenal breakthrough in the industry. But the reality is that AI workloads across training, inferencing, and fine tuning are very different from traditional workloads that you can imagine. Right now, you're looking at bursty elephant flows, links that can get congested in microseconds. Looking at low entropy use cases and things like that. SONiC, with the architecture, cloud native ecosystems, it had proven its capability into the cloud environment, and now it's getting ready for AI environments. Right, we have features like Rocky V2 to deliver lossless fabrics. With enhanced transition selection, you have explicit congestion notification, you have enhanced hashing capabilities to address low entropy use cases, ability to manage these environments across different ecosystems, from training, inferencing to fine tuning. We have, at Dell Technologies, we have championed SONiC across different, customers and users. We have, hearing a lot of, good results, performance characteristics. A technology that helps you not only deliver the native NOS capabilities, but also gives you the framework to automate these environments and manage these environments in simple ways, is something that is very differentiated with SONiC. Unlike traditional networking solutions where were more like black boxes and you didn't have much insights into what was going into the fabric. SONiC allows you that framework where you could choose a path between DevOps, open source tools, or enterprise provided automation observability tools, or third party ecosystem vendor provided solutions that gives you insight into ease of management across SONiC on multiple vendor platforms, ease of observability, troubleshooting, the API centricity, all the way going into the silicon side of the world allows you more insight into the fabric and take actions on it. So you're moving from reactive way of managing and monitoring your fabric to more predictive way of monitoring and managing your fabric. So SONiC is proven at scale. It's humming in AI fabrics. I think we're just getting started into that side of the world. That's going to be a big focus for us in the community, in the industry, as we get into the next year. One is availability of features and capabilities. Right, when we saw SONiC roll out into Open Compute platform and later into Linux Foundation, one of the things enterprises were looking at certain feature functionalities that are important for enterprise data center environments. Right, and the community has done a phenomenal work in terms of enabling those features into the SONiC code to allow that rollout into those environments. So it's feature ready from enterprise data center environments perspective. The second thing that has happened is different vendors have come in to certify SONiC as a technology, provide support services. Dell Technologies, we champion initiatives here to enable enterprise and be confident and get that trust with the enterprise backing them, and give them the promise of that, hey, we've got their back as things roll out. And this is important because if you compare hyperscalers and enterprises, you're looking at an army of engineers at the hyperscaler ecosystem, whereas enterprises were more focused on building applications and end use cases which are important for their end ecosystem. So having an enterprise supporting these environments, having a vendor who's supporting these environments and they've got 100 support, to enable that is something that is differentiated and evolving very quickly. The third thing that has happened is availability of more documentation, right? At Linux Foundation, you guys have done a phenomenal job in terms of making those case studies available, bringing more advocacy around what SONiC can do for those environments. But there's also the community effort that is putting around, what are the feature capabilities, putting more children documents, creating more use case guidebooks and feature set and product spec guides, etc. That gives enterprises the look and feel and the ecosystem on SONiC as they would have with a traditional proprietary vendor solution. So the SONiC is there from in terms of documentation, training capabilities. We now have SONiC certified engineers, so that that ecosystem is now ready to champion SONiC for broader solutions. Well, AI is definitely one of the big things that we're seeing in the industry across the board. There's a lot of adoption that has happened across the tier ones and neo cloud. The cloud service providers now converting into GP as a service providers, right? So a lot of action going on there, and we see SONiC coming. Several of those have gone about public in terms of how SONiC has been proven at scale into those environments, right? But as the AI enterprise market is getting created, and they've started to figure out what use cases, what scale, etc., they want to deploy these greenfield AI deployments. SONiC is one of the big technologies that is disrupting that space and proving its capability into that environment. Right, these enterprises are able to take advantage of the best practices that hyperscalers and cloud AI providers have been able to do, and replicate that into their environment. And it's going to be a big opportunity for SONiC to scale into that category. The second is the growth in the ecosystem, right? I mean, we see a lot of new silicon vendors and ODM vendors now, joining Linux Foundation to SONiC initiative. I think we just have to create, more momentum around that in terms of, enabling more, players to join the ecosystem and see the value that SONiC brings into the broader community. So that's going to be a big focus area. Third is practice what you preach, and this is where at Dell Technologies we kind of champion that initiative, roll it out into the Dell IT environments with 23 plus data centers globally, and thousands of switches deployed across variety of workloads, from the enterprise applications to AI infrastructures that are supporting engineering, marketing, supply chain, procurement, sales ecosystems with different chatbots, applications to monitor demand, supply, and things like that. All of that infrastructure is on SONiC, and we're on the path to rolling out 10,000 plus switches with SONiC in production by next year. And our path towards that is 100% SONiC data centers. And I think we now have to get into that zone with vendors who've been kind of supporting SONiC as an initiative to champion more and more in their environment, because you learn a lot and what our end user would go through when you enable that. I think that would be a big focus area from a SONiC use case perspective.